Ladies and gentlemen, we'll call the Governance Committee to order. The first order of business, pledge allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Ferrara, roll call, please.
Mr. Chairman, Jeffrey Rosenthal.
Here.
Albert Hayes.
Here.
Robert Moore.
Excused.
Mark Finkel.
Here.
David Bergström.
Here.
Anthony Netto.
Here.
Michael Clark.
Here.
Robert Leslie.
On his way.
Robert Fulton.
Here.
John Hudson.
Here.
Stephanie Rosicki.
Here.
Richard Ferrara. Here, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. No.
I'd entertain a motion to adopt, or approve, I should say, the committee meeting minutes of July 28th.
I'd like to make that motion.
Mr. Hayes.
Do I hear a second? I'll second.
Mr. Rosenthal.
All in favor signify, I'm sorry, any discussion?
No discussion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous. Next is committee reports, Mr. Leslie, and Mr. Leslie. Oh,
Did you, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, did you just adopt the,
I did.
okay, the committee meeting minutes?
We approved the meeting. Oh, I went backwards. I apologize.
That's all right.
Is there a motion to adopt or revise our agenda today?
I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second that motion. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I guess we'll stick with the agenda we have, such as it is. Take a very brief recess. We need Mr. Leslie.
I can probably begin, just
Okay.
with some of the, where we're at.
All right.
In terms of,
Mr. Ferrara, the new business is the first, a resolution approving adoption of the procurement policy revisions. Mr. Ferrara, with respect to that, I would ask that you table that. I have reviewed the draft policy, which I also understand is under review by OSC.
correct.
And I have discovered some issues, concerns, some edits that I would like to discuss with you folks before we move that to the board, so I'd ask that it be tabled.
Very good. And for the record, we did not intend on moving this for adoption, so we should have never had adoption on here. This is technically the second reading,
All right, that's
so
fine.
that doesn't mean that the board couldn't have, but we certainly knew that OSC was currently reviewing it, so at a minimum, we would have preferred to wait for their input, which I expected to get before this meeting. However, that has not happened. Upon receipt of that information, I'm sure they may have noticed some of the
More
same
than
things
me.
you noticed, so we'll see where that goes.
And just for purposes of discussion, I also understand somewhere in the wind, the Governor's Council is intending to draft a statewide model
Correct.
policy,
Correct.
which of
Correct.
course will render our effort moot.
Possibly. Ours may be more detailed than their model, but certainly if it covers everything their model does, then we could certainly keep what we have, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Are you prepared then to move or discuss either items B or C in either order?
B or C, we have advanced to the full board to the resolution approving. That, I believe, is just, and again, we can go right to,
If I recall, that one concerns just allowing Ferlazzi and Durbin.
correct. Well, we have
Mr. Leslie, quickly to bring you up to speed, new business resolution A concerning the procurement policy has been tabled based on some discussions. And we are now at new business item 1B.
Great. Thank you for that.
And I apologize, I was unaware that you were not present.
I was temporarily indisposed.
The floor is with you, Mr. Leslie.
might be a problem. All right, item 1B, resolution to approve a First Amendment to the legal services contract.
Yes, sir.
with Plaza.
Yes, sir.
This matter takes on new urgency. As has happened in several years in the past, Niagara Mohawk has brought against the district another Article 78 proceeding. This one to challenge the 215-216 assessments on property that Niagara Mohawk owns in the Black River area, or in the Black River area. As these cases remain on hold until Niagara Mohawk pursues its claims in federal court, we need to address this matter. Gerben and Filazzo, the firm that has this contract, has interposed an answer in that matter, but nonetheless we need to amend that contract in order to reflect that new case. In addition, we need more time on the contract in order to resolve the case. And finally, the federal court yesterday issued a ruling in the NIMO's equal protection and takings claims case before the U.S. District Court. And that ruling, while it is a victory for the district in that we won a partial summary judgment, also means that we'll need to go to trial on that matter. Gerben and Filazzo is the firm that we will be going to trial with. There is money left on the contract to prosecute that trial. I don't know yet whether we will expend all of that money and be coming back to you for additional monies on this trial, on this contract. Keep in mind, I need to say that Niagara Mohawk's claims, which had been a $5 million claim and now looks like it's closer to $1.5 million, the district over the last 15 years has spent well over $1.4 million in legal fees to defend against this case. And it should be clear to everybody on the board, you are a ratepayer before National Grid, and that is how you are paying for this litigation on that side. And our beneficiaries have been paying for this litigation on our side. I expect that Niagara Mohawk has spent a similar sum to that which we have spent on this case. We will be prepared later on to talk about where we're going in this case. But in any case, before you is a resolution to approve a First Amendment to this particular contract, which is the successor contract to the contract we had with Brown and Weinrob, and before them, Sherman, through Crane and Parenta. That's kind of where we sit.
Bottom line is we need counsel.
We need counsel to prosecute this
Period.
suit. We need to extend the term. We need to extend the scope of the contract to include this new Article 78. But really, the next thing coming forward on this contract is going to be litigation in federal court with NIMO on equal protection claims.
I'll entertain a motion approving the extension of the contract. I'll paraphrase the extension of the contract.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion. Any discussion on the motion?
Nothing.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Leslie. Mr. Leslie, again, with regard to item 6.1b for committee business, resolution to adopt a conflict of interest policy.
On August 24th, the Authority Budget Office released a new guidance document suggesting that each New York State public authority should adopt a conflict of interest policy. The ABO included a draft conflict of interest policy within that guidance document, and in order to facilitate a discussion of the matter, I prepared draft conflicts policy based on the ABO's model for the committee's consideration. The draft policy shares language with our own code of ethics, a document based on another ABO model. However, the draft conflicts policy goes further to offer a fuller definition of conflict, establish a duty to disclose such conflicts, require that board members recuse themselves in certain situations, and require that board minutes reflect how such conflicts are resolved. I'd recommend that the committee advance to the full board and recommend for approval the proposed resolution to adopt the new conflict of interest policy.
Entertain a motion for that purpose.
I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second that motion. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No opposition. The motion to advance to the full board is approved. Any further business for the governance committee that does not appear on the agenda?
I have none.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
I'll second that motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Governance committee is adjourned. We move to the full board.